Duluth might just be Minnesota's newest walleye hotspot. Says who?
Yeah.
This lady.
How about that?
We document Duluth's growing opener tradition. It's a story about a river on the rebound. Next, it's time for a walk in the park. We're visiting a 2,700-acre gem that's an angler's paradise. Don't miss this trip to Whitewater State Park. And our Minnesota Bound Classic this week revisits Larry, our loon expert, and our Minnesota Bound live Loon Cam. Will the loons return? Only time will tell. Those stories and more next.
Minnesota Bound. Brought to you by Minnesota's select GMC dealers.
Hey everybody, welcome to the show. Ron's taking a break this week. You know, every May, Minnesotans celebrate kind of a big time holiday, the walleye opener. Thing is, I'm not convinced a lot of people think of Duluth as an exact walleye hotspot. Well, once you meet the Nelson family and see their opener tradition, you might just change your mind.
Rivers, like time, perpetually roll on. Minnesota's St. Louis winds 192 wild miles towards Lake Superior. The river enters right in downtown Duluth, a city built around life on water. That said, walleye anglers just don't pay much attention to this town, especially on opening weekend. That's okay with the Nelson brothers.
Well, that's how I get out of Mother's Day, by taking her fishing.
Come the eve of opener,
All right, what do you think? Minnesota Vikings, Cat in the Hat, what do you like, purple and gold?
Charlie and David Nelson gear up to fish their favorite haunt.
Turns around. There they are. Yes.
The Nelson story, a Minnesota tradition worth telling once you get to know them.
Don't forget the net.
Oh yeah, grab the net. For the opener, it's the first chance to really get out on the water and experience that excitement again.
Which is why, even on a short night of sleep,
I'm ready to go. This is gonna be fun.
everyone's ready to roll come 6 a.m. sharp.
Let's get her done. Let's go.
Especially Charlie, a Duluth area fishing guide who traded careers. See, he gave up life in really fast airplanes for a slightly slower pace in a boat.
Good luck. Good luck. Oh, we'll be talking to you.
We bundle up and head for Charlie's favorite fishing hole, a spot up and out of Duluth Harbor along the St. Louis River. Before 7,
All right, here you go.
we set lines and get to fishing. In minutes, Charlie's on the fish.
Well, that is a nice St. Louis River walleye.
This will not
ready?
be a quiet opener.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, there's a couple around anyway, huh?
Opening day antics in our boat, and Brother David's too.
Yeah, fishy, 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 fishy.
That was lucky.
I mean, it's painful. We suffer the whole time.
She's a stitch. Yeah, she's always got something to say about something.
High five.
Oh, it's a big one. Lift it up, Mom. Yeah.
How about that?
Well, that's Mother's Day.
Yep, don't forget, Minnesota's fishing opener often falls on another holiday. Exactly why Mom fills her coat pockets.
These are all my Mother's Day cards for every year. In case he doesn't give me one, I can recycle one. And they're all very sentimental because they say, Happy Mother's Day, now shut up and fish.
In all seriousness, it's a good opportunity for Mom and I to spend some time together in the boat.
We're cooking now.
She really enjoys fishing, and she's good at it.
It wouldn't seem the same if I didn't go Mother's Day fishing with David. And besides that, I got a fish on.
Well, the honest truth is I'm a cop-out because it's Mother's Day, and this way I can still go fishing and still fish with my mom.
Hey, aren't you Look at that fin up there nicely.
Posing.
Yeah.
Ready?
We're ready. I hate to tell you this, honey, but you're going to be lunch.
Speaking of lunch, Mom always packs snacks.
Peanut butter, pickle, and mayonnaise. Mmm. Wow, good. You only get these sandwiches once a year and it's on the opener.
So goes opening morning.
Yes!
2 separate boats,
Another nice St. Louis River walleye right here.
one family together.
It should be a national holiday in the first place. We had Hubert Humphrey in the national office, and he should have declared it a national holiday. Shouldn't he have? I mean, really?
That's my mom.
Straight ahead, we dig up the real story behind the St. Louis River, a major project to restore the river and its fishing.
Minnesota Bound, brought to you by Minnesota Select GMC dealers. Kingtail Gator, Borderview Lodge, Jesse Treble's Safe Basements of Minnesota, and by Evinrude, the official outboard motor of Minnesota Bound.
Up in Duluth, the tale of the walleye fishing is a big story about a comeback. But tales like this don't just happen. They take a lot of work in the case of the St. Louis River.
Is this the secret spot?
Walleye opener secrets never last long with fishing like this.
Oh, come on.
That's an eater.
This spot's a secret. Shh, don't tell anybody.
Duluth's St. Louis River suddenly seems busier.
Yeah, if you build it, it will come.
By build, Charlie Nelson really means rebuild. To understand is to zip upstream. See the digger? A cleanup team works 20 hours a day to slowly take the St. Louis River back in time.
There were reports as early as the 1920s that there were toxic conditions in the St. Louis River.
Daryl Peterson helps oversee that digger and the seemingly overwhelming task of cleaning up the St. Louis River.
It suffered from decades and almost a century of industrial use and kind of unregulated dumping.
Back in the old days, we're talking like 125 years ago, lumber mills, factories, and industry choked this river.
The sawmills would mill all the wood, then all these end pieces and all the parts, they would just dump into the river and leave.
In some spots, more than 4 feet of sawdust and wood smothered fish habitat.
This piece of wood right here was milled in probably the 1890s and sat on the bottom of the river for a century. And the reason it doesn't degrade is because St. Louis River, the water is very dark, it's very cold, so there's not a lot of biological activity. Also, there's just so much.
The digger pulls all that old wood out, pumping it 2 miles through a pipe to a site where the cleanup team creates organic soil. Just one of 60 projects to clean up the St. Louis.
But the recovery has been really amazing. A lot of these areas are coming back on their own. There are some places that aren't, and those are the places we really need to work.
The standard operation was the solution to pollution was dilution.
Guide Charlie Nelson still remembers fishing near the old paint factory.
You could tell what color they were painting the day before by what color the river was running.
We now know better.
They're spending a lot of money on restoration projects down here, so they're reestablishing habitat.
And the fish are on the comeback.
Yeah, there are some great fish in this river. Yeah.
The biologists know it, and so do anglers.
Oh my God, big muskie.
I got it.
Little muskie.
Now, you sort of know why the Nelsons love this river.
He was a scrapper.
It's more than a fishing tradition. The St. Louis feels like theirs.
It's a special fishery.
Maybe that's why Charlie and David helped start the Twin Ports Walleye Association, a club that among other things, helps protect the river.
Currently, we're helping with a creel survey.
Each time they catch, pen meets paper.
And we keep a diary of how many walleyes we catch, how long they are, and if they're tagged, what's the tag number.
Complied.
One more way the Nelsons pay homage to a river on the Riku.
Feels kind of heavy. Oh no. And that's fishing. What do you do?
You go home and you eat.
There you go.
Opener includes shore lunch.
There's something just about fresh fish that you can't hardly beat it.
Too bad there'll be one short at the table.
It's so easy to catch that I can do it. Bye, Mom.
Even without Mom, the Nelsons celebrate.
It doesn't get any fresher.
We should do this more often. Did I tell you what Mom and Doc had in the boat this morning?
Yeah.
For lunch? The tradition lives on.
A family fishing tradition tied to a tide of change on moving water.
People are seeing change on the river. They're experiencing good fishing. They're realizing that the fish are okay to eat, and I think they want to keep it that way.
My side of the boat. Yes.
Closed captioning from Minnesota Bound is brought to you by Connecticut.
Up next, it's time to take a walk in the park through Minnesota's only state park known for not having mosquitoes. Can you name it?
Oh, I'll find many flowers in the forest of trees. 'Neath the tall standing hardwoods, for the buds turn to leaves. While the sun shines so bright that it penetrates the ground, I walk through the forest where treasures abound. Whitewater State Park is located on the middle branch of the Whitewater River in the southeast Minnesota Blufflands region. So we're here in the springtime, and this is a great time of year to visit Whitewater State Park. The park was established in 1919. Some local residents wanted to protect the most scenic portions of the Whitewater Valley. And so a local gentleman who was a photographer came out and started taking pictures of people already using this area as if it were a park. And he put together a book called The Paradise of Minnesota. And they started to sell that book to raise money to establish a park here. We have around 350,000 people that visit the park each year. And maybe one or two will encounter a timber rattlesnake. Today with us, we have our park manager, Brent Anderson. And he is going to be taking out our captive timber rattlesnake that we use for interpretive programs here at the park. The timber rattlesnake has that true rattle sound. It sounds like a baby rattle shaking. In the whole history of Minnesota, in the whole human recorded history, there's only been one confirmed death due to a timber rattlesnake bite. So as you can see, all around us on the forest floor here, we're surrounded by wildflowers. And there's a variety of them growing. The white ones all around here are false rue anemone. There's over 12 different species of wildflowers surrounding us just in this small little area where I'm sitting. I've got some little trout lilies right up next to me, and you can see they get their name from that pattern that looks like the pattern on the trout. We're looking at phlox, and they call this the Mother's Day flower. It tends to bloom around Mother's Day. This is kind of a jackpot for mushrooms down here because of the forest. We want to find elm trees that are dead, but haven't been dead too long. So this is a nice looking elm tree we have here. The bark is just sloughing off the tree. This is what we're looking for. Very easy to identify the morel mushroom. We're standing here at the beach dam. So you can see the dam structure on this side, and it's actually holding back the water and creating this ponded beach area on the other side. And this is a major attraction for people. In this area of the state, it's the unglaciated part of Minnesota. The only places people can find beaches in this region is man-made reservoirs, such as this one. So we're here on top of Eagle Point, where we have a beautiful view, the vista down below. And this is an example of one of many different overlooks here at Whitewater State Park. We have a nice view of the winding Whitewater River down below us here. The middle branch of the Whitewater River is listed on Trout Unlimited's top 100 trout streams. The river is spring-fed, so it's a very, very clean river. It also has that cold water that the trout need. In the valley here, highly eroded, steep valleys. Behind me off in the distance, you can see Precipice Bluff, which is the cliffside that our peregrine falcons nest on every spring. The peregrine falcon is kind of a short, stocky bird of prey, kind of got a curved wing. They can dive at speeds of over 200 miles an hour, so they're moving pretty quickly. In 2009, peregrine falcons returned to Whitewater State Park after many, many years of education and conservation efforts. They use a specific cavity up on the bluff. Usually we hear them. We can hear them making their warning call when we're down in front of the Precipice Bluff. These early spring days are a time of rebirth, a celebration of surviving the cold winters on Earth.
It's that time of year. Time for Larry the Loon Guy in our Minnesota-bound live Loon Cam. Never a dull moment in nature.
Minnesota Bound, brought to you by Running Aces Casino and Racetrack, Tracker Boats, and by Totem Resorts.
Today's Minnesota Bound Classic is one of my all-time favorites. It's a chance to see loons absolutely up close and personal.
Long before Minnesota's loons think about nesting, Larry Backlund is thinking for them.
We'll strip this off and put some new stuff on, make sure it's in shape.
What Larry offers a mated pair of loons is a floating platform.
To me, I'm not sure there's a much more beautiful bird than the loon with that striking black and white plumage. And we are off.
Choosing the perfect place for a nest is a guessing game. So Larry anchors his best guess, and now
we have done about as much as we can do. Now it's up to the loons whether they're going to use it.
But would the loons nest on it?
One morning, all of a sudden they were up on the nest. And it was obvious that it was something different that morning, that she was much more serious about nest building and spending a little bit more time up there.
We helped Larry set up a waterproof AquaView camera to spy on the loons. Turns out, in the life and times of mother and father loon, there's hardly a dull moment.
Something that I'd never seen before, a whole different behavior. I realized pretty quickly that she obviously was getting pretty close to laying an egg, just the way she was sort of up and down and moving around and stuff. Once that started, within probably 10 minutes at the most, she laid the first egg.
2 eggs later, the loon pair were pretty much nest-bound for the next 28 days.
You got to give them credit for patience, because for 1 month solid, they're on that nest. In hot sun, in rain, in wind, and some pretty cold weather.
Finally, 2 baby loons hatch on Larry's platform. But it wasn't pretty.
Once the chicks hatch, they will leave the nest within 24 hours, never to return again. From that point on, they're water birds, totally.
While life goes on for us, so it also goes on for loons. After all, one surviving baby loon is better than none at all.
That is cool. That is cool.
Loons, exactly why we love them. Hey, don't forget, both Ron and Raven will be back next week. In the meantime, don't forget to introduce a kid to the great outdoors.
Transportation provided by Premier Transportation. Call 1-800-899-7433. For more information on these stories and more, catch us on the web at mnbound.com.